60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, we're going to sit down with the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. And interviews with the chairman of the Fed are very rare because the things that the Fed says can send the markets up and down on a roller coaster ride. What would it take to raise or lower interest rates?
We'll be looking at a range of data for here domestically. We'll be looking at growth. We'll be looking at the state of the labor market, job creation, wages, and that kind of thing. We'll also be looking at inflation, of course. And abroad, we'll be looking to see how foreign growth is evolving, particularly in China and in Europe.
It's a little bit of a tradition now with 60 Minutes. Before, Fed chairman never sat down for interviews, but we broke that tradition with Ben Bernanke during the Great Recession.
We've seen some progress in financial markets, absolutely. But until we get that stabilized and working normally, we're not going to see recovery.
He confided later, after it was all over, that he believed what we face in the financial crisis was the worst financial crisis in human history. And so he slept on his couch in his office at the Federal Reserve. Banks and major banking institutions, the most trusted names in banking on Wall Street, were collapsing left and right. For those people who didn't lose their jobs and didn't lose their homes, I think there is a tendency to forget. It was terrifying in those days because we did not know how bad this was going to be.
And I think as those green shoots begin to appear in different markets, and as some confidence begins to come back, that will begin the positive dynamic that brings our economy back.
Do you see green shoots?
I do.
I think he hoped there were green shoots, but now we know after the stabilization that Bernanke was able to bring to the markets that we would have the slowest, flattest recovery in American history, that growth would be tiny, that unemployment would fall only incrementally over years and years and years. So if those were green shoots he was seeing in that interview of ours, then they had a lot of years to go before they turned into the vibrant economy that we have today.
The economy's been expanding now for almost 10 years, and we want to use our tools to allow the economy to continue to expand, to continue to keep the labor market strong, job growth strong, the economy growing, and also keep inflation close to our 2% objective.
I think one of the lessons the Fed learned was it pays to talk to the American people. You know, before it was a closed society. It was a shuttered building there in Washington. They never said much of anything about anything. But when Bernanke did his first interview with 60 Minutes, that went well. People understood more about what the Fed was doing. Now Jay Powell is extending all of that. He's having a news conference now after every open market committee meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I think the Fed today, under Jay Powell, is highly attuned to the health and safety of our major financial institutions.
We didn't have a means of allowing a large financial institutions fail before the financial crisis. We have that now, and we've spent many years building up a framework around it and requiring the banks to have higher levels of liquidity and capital and to have plans. I think we've made a great deal of progress.
The question is, how long does that last? Will the next generation of people who run the Fed forget these lessons of 1929 and 2008 and let it happen all over again?